right, who's live on Facebook, buddy?
Hey, what is this?
What do you got there, buddy? You got some
What's going on with this?
you got some Tostitos with a hint of lime in them? What is the occasion?
Well,
Do I dare ask?
I got some pico de gallo.
Yes. This is, but now, granted, for those of you who are listening to the recorded podcast, you're like, this makes great radio of Brian eating his Tostitos with a hint of lime in the kickoff. If you're watching, it's clever, witty, and fun. If you're if you're listening, not so much.
You're upset with me like my wife gets when I crunch on the chips out loud.
Is that a foreshadowing for what you're having for dinner this evening, perhaps, my friend?
No, but what we're having for dinner tonight is tacos, and it's because today is National Tortilla Chip Day.
You give yourself a bell. I find that extreme.
Can you believe that there's such a thing as National Tortilla Chip Day?
Unfortunately, I do. I do know. I know there's a day for everything.
These are our favorites. We like the hint of lime.
I love the hint of lime as well. That's good.
So, yeah,
awesome, buddy.
Yeah, it's National Tortilla Chip Day.
See, and you're not going to get that type of witty information on other live streams. So if you're just joining us, again, live on Facebook or live on LinkedIn, I am Pete. That is Brian. We're enjoying our complimentary mugs. Thank you to Trustville Fire Captain Scott Payne. And he, of course, thinks that we're both smoking hot. So that's good. So we'll be, we have no gifts to give away, but people give us gifts. This is the best. The best idea.
Business model.
It's the best idea ever. We're going to go over your comments throughout the show. So make sure that you go into LinkedIn, go into Facebook, and just right now, my wife watches this lady on Instagram that says what she's grateful for. And she's like, let's take 15 seconds for an attitude of gratitude or something like that. If you're watching us right now live, type in something that you're grateful for. Brian always starts the show with a bunch of good news stories, but I'd love to hear right now, did you finally get your power back if you're in Texas? Have you finally got your car out of the garage if you're stuck in snow? Brian, what you grateful for tonight, buddy?
Man, I am so grateful for my family. And I know that's the Sunday school answer, but it's especially true over the last few days. We've had some wins, which is nice. My oldest daughter is going to be going off to college pretty soon, and in fact, she could probably hear my voice as she's painting her overalls. So it's a senior tradition at her high school where they get overalls and they paint them up. But she hasn't been live in school at all this year. My other daughter is live in school, but they can't wear painted overalls.
Painted overalls. The irony is delicious. So that's awesome, man. That's awesome. I am thankful because the weather the past 2 days, my friend, here in Birmingham, Alabama, has been approximately between the hours of noon and 4. It has been 68 to 71 degrees, total sun, and just makes you want to just go sit outside for a while because we've been in the 30s and 40s for so long.
Right.
And so we've really really been enjoying that.
A couple of nice days over the last couple of days, a couple of warmer days, but we're supposed to get a bunch of snow again tonight. So hopefully this just kind of stays here in Colorado and doesn't blow all the way down to BM for you.
I want to I mean, we get our snow once a year. That's about it. My buddy Al, you know what he's thankful for? He's just chilling on a Wednesday night watching Leadership and Laughs. What kind of life is that? How great is that life?
Great life right there.
Something to be thankful for. All right, let's get let me find the old opening show. Here we go.
It's time for Leadership and Laughs with Pete and Brian. And now here are your hosts, Pete and Brian Vaggie.
Here we go. Here we are. Are you having some more tortilla chips?
Yeah, that's my last one.
Hey.
It's National Tortilla Chip Day.
Are you a fan of Brian Regan, the comedian?
I love Brian Regan.
Yeah, I love Brian Regan. He's got a new special that came out on Netflix. He was in your neck of the woods. I believe he was out at Red Rocks doing a live show. And I don't know how long ago it was, but for a clean comedian, that dude's just funny. Just funny. So
what brings up Brian Regan?
Because I said tortilla chips or whatever, and I thought in my mind I'm saying that wrong. And he did a whole bit last night. We watched it on Netflix about how it drives him nuts when people try to act smarter and say words like, like the example he used was everybody says Genghis Khan, but he was at a party and someone's called him like Gengis Khan, and he's like, oh, Gengis Khan, because you say it differently. So
Man,
that's all.
It's all set for Gengis Khan. It's going to be great.
That's the way the old brain works. All right, you got some good news stories for us. Let me get your little personal theme up here, buddy, and let's get started with some good news. Leading off with Brian, everybody. Again, if you're just watching us live on Facebook or on LinkedIn, you can put comments in there. Tell us what you think about Brian's stories. Give us some of your feedback. So what do you got for us to get started today, buddy?
What do you think about Brian? He stinks. Yeah, so leading off, so I don't know. I saw this one today, and it kind of jumped right out at me. We were all pretty sad last year in November when Alex Trebek passed away, but his family just added another piece to his positive legacy, and what they did is they donated a significant portion of his trademark spiffy wardrobe to a charitable organization called the Doe Fund. What we're looking at here, if you're watching this live, is some of the recipients of the clothes. The Doe Fund is an organization that provides support and paid work to people who have histories of addiction and homelessness and incarceration. And Trebek's family donated 4 suits, 58 dress shirts, 300 neckties, 25 polo shirts, 14 sweaters, 9 sport coats, 9 pairs of dress shoes, 15 belts, 2 parkas, and 3 pairs of dress slacks.
Good grief!
So
good grief. Well, he was a snappy dresser. Always very, very good with his ties and his pocket squares and all that.
Yep. And the Doe Fund, recipients will use the wardrobe for job interviews as part of their reentry into society program. And
awesome.
The report was that during his last day on set, Alex Trebek asked everyone to open up their hands and their hearts to those who are suffering. Yeah. And so by donating his wardrobe to folks who are working hard to rebuild their lives, that seems like a pretty nice way to honor that last request.
Now, do you think that by dropping that information in the interview, that'll go a little bit? So, you come in, you get the suit on it. The interview is just going so-so, and then you go, by the way, these are Alex Trebek's threads. Do you think that they then go, hey, wait just a minute. That's fantastic. You're hot. I mean, that would just be a great conversation starter. In the interview process.
Dangerfield's closed.
Yes. Wait a minute. That was more Jackie Mason, wasn't it? I don't know. Or no, Jackie Gleason, maybe.
Yeah, that's Jackie Gleason. Nobody watching knows who Jackie Gleason.
Jackie Mason, wasn't he? Take my wife, please. Yeah. Take my wife.
And also, we're going old school comedy here.
I love that, buddy. I love that. All right. Good for them. That's awesome. Best of luck to them. And thank you to Alex Trebek and his family for kind of doing that. What's the old college tip war? What do you got going on here?
This is a fascinating one. A lot of us here on the program, both you and I went to the same university, but we have, vicious rivals in that we're friends with. So we went to the University of Florida, Florida's flagship university.
That is correct.
And so go Gators. This next story, though, it kind of embodies that definition of healthy competition amongst school rivals. So fans of Xavier University.
That'd be the Musketeers.
Hey, well done. And the University of Cincinnati, their rivals, who are
That'd be the Bengals.
No, that's
the Browns.
No, the Browns have a machine.
The Bearcats.
That would be the Bearcats.
Yes, sir.
So those are two rival schools in the great state of Ohio. Well, they've started one-upping each other in and around their community by having what they so-called tip war. So it all some genuine thoughtfulness. If you throw it up there on the screen,
there you go.
I don't know if we can see that. But I'll read it to you. So some Xavier alumni left a $1,000 tip.
$1,000.
$1,000 tip. You can see it right there.
Yeah.
And their bill was only $54 at a place called Zips Cafe in Cincinnati. And they wrote a note that said, hey, please share this tip with all of your employees as they work so hard and are dealing with COVID. Go Xavier. Right? So go Musketeers. And the restaurant workers were truly touched by this act of generosity.
Nice.
And they posted it on Facebook. But Cincinnati fans couldn't let that stand, right? So soon two rival fans left a $1,001 tip and a note at the Keystone Bar and Grill just 6 miles away. And their note, if you can read it there on the screen, but I'll read it also for those of you who are listening, says, earlier this week, I saw a Xavier fan tip $1,000 at Zips. I believe now more than ever we need to support our local restaurants. Let's see how long we can keep this going. Bearcats up by 1. So yeah,
and they left what, 1,000? 1,001.
So if the Xavier fans are going to leave $1,000 and say go Xavier, we're going to leave $1,001. So that also got thrown up on Facebook, and it actually kind of started a little bit of a one-upmanship around restaurants there, which of course goes to benefit the restaurant workers in Ohio. And so in the few weeks since this happened, this tip war has raised over $34,000 for local restaurants.
That is amazing.
And it goes right to
amazing.
Since it's tip, it goes right to the servers. And the diners in these two cases said they want to remain anonymous. It's all about the good vibes and helping out the community that both sides love.
Well, it's funny too that they started at a higher amount, because again, if they started at like 25 and then someone did 26 and someone did, look at me, 27, like we could get involved, but it's going to take a long time to get to 34. You said $34,000. So, there's some people out there who can do that. And the fact that they're doing it as a give back and making it just a little bit of friendly rivalry with the old schools.
I love it.
Yeah. Speaking of friendly rivalry, hello, Kristen. Roll Tide. My money and my kids go to Alabama, but my heart, Brian, just like you, we will not mention the college your daughter's going to, but you will have to take the fan base of another university pretty soon. That's what we do as parents, especially when we pay a lot of stuff like that. Speaking of Texas, the eyes of Texas are upon us. Matthew McConaughey, is that right? I don't know how that hook 'em horns.
Yeah. So, we've all heard about these winter storms and the extreme cold that have pushed through the South recently. In fact, you recorded a Pete's Points episode in the snow right from the front yard.
Thank you, Brian. That is correct. Thanks for noticing.
Hoping all of us noticed that. But we all heard about the added problem for the people in Texas when their power grid went down and they, had this extreme cold and really couldn't heat their houses. So, just like we've seen in some other disasters lately, some heartwarming stories are coming out of the state of Texas. So I thought I'd share 3 quick examples of how neighbors coming together to help each other stay warm, fed, and housed. And we're looking at one now. Here's one. This is Karen Rambo Hernandez. She got a knock on her front door and found hot cocoa mix and boxes of every single Girl Scout cookie on her doorstep. So
awesome.
Her children, who we see here being adorable, and their mittens and hats, something they probably don't get to wear down in Texas too often.
Correct. Yeah.
Anyway, they were all thrilled by the surprise delivery, which came courtesy of a neighbor that she had gone to check on earlier that day. So she went and checked on the neighbor. The neighbor paid it forward, and this kind gesture made her feel like she could count on her neighbors there in College Park, Texas.
Listen, you and I lived in Florida for a long time. When hurricanes come through and you lose power for a day, 2 days, maybe 3, it's hot, it's summer, it's sweltering, but what they were doing in Texas was really, there was a lot of life and death stuff going on out there when it's cold and you don't have water and you don't have power and all that stuff. Yeah, that was a tough situation. So boy, that had to make her feel good to know that you can count on.
And then you have this next one, Adrian Escajeda and his wife, Gina. Just like you said, Pete, they were actually struggling to wait out the power outage in their home because the inside of their house hit -6 degrees on the inside of their house. So they weren't really going to be able to sleep through another night of sub-zero temperatures. So they gratefully accepted their friend's offer to actually sleep at her home, which is what we were seeing a picture of.
That's what that is there? Nice.
So, yeah, and when they arrived, they were offered both kindness and a nice of piping hot chili, Texas chili, to warm them up. And I think that's what the dogs
are staring.
Going, can I have some chili?
Let's be very clear. Does it hit -6 outside often in Colorado?
I wouldn't say often. It hits -6 outside. It did last week.
Oh my word.
Once or twice a year we'll get down, like in an extreme cold snap. But come on, in Texas?
Yeah, in Texas. And on the inside of your home, right. That's rough. Oh, all right. What else you got?
So friendly communication also helps. Deborah Crawford Davis and Megan Johnson don't live in big cities in Texas. And so to better share communication about what's open and where the weather's heading, and to help each other out, who needs help. Both of these women, who by the way they're not in the same town, but they both started Facebook groups for their counties, Anderson County and Grayson County. And in these Facebook groups, they're facilitating free deliveries of food, firewood, diapers, and they're there to answer the call when their neighbors ask for aid. So this is Neighbors Helping Neighbors. They're in Palestine, Texas, and also in Grayson County. So
look how fast it got to 4.5 thousand members quickly.
Yeah, exactly. So there you have it. Our friends in Texas are stepping up to lighten the load of both, strangers and their neighbors and friends with some truly heartfelt acts of kindness.
We saw a lot of this too when the Disney theme parks in Orlando started to close. And people were out of jobs. A lot of cast members were starting either Facebook pages or they were starting pantries or things like that. And again, to me, it's a resilience of the human spirit where when things are bad, like I think we talked a few weeks ago, a friend of mine just got hit by a tornado. We had a tornado come through, and the amount of people that came out, his house was destroyed. Everyone's giving him food and clothes and money. And kind of there were black people and white people, and there were Asian people and old and young, and we're all working together. And one gentleman who was African American comes over to me and he goes, "Isn't this what it should be all about?" While we were carrying stuff out, And I was like, "Yeah, it's just this is what we do." So those stories make me feel good, really do. So thanks, buddy. Well, not to bring us down a bad path, but we always like to change it up a little bit. We've got a new segment tonight. We haven't done this in a while, Brian. It's called Congratulations, You're an Idiot. No, I'm not.
You're an idiot.
Congratulations, you're an idiot. And what what I like to do from a leadership perspective, Brian, is just share some mistakes that leaders have made recently, maybe in the past year, talk about them. And again, a lot of these revolve around laws and regulations and policies and Title VII and Title IX and EEOC and all this. But all of us who are watching this show and listening, and again, if your kids are listening and things like that, we'll tell you when to put the earmuffs on and things like that. But let's get started and just remind ourselves that, don't be the idiot. Don't be this person. So these are things not to do as a leader, buddy. Let's start out with pregnancy discrimination. This is exciting. This is from my hometown of Tampa. Tampa representing in the house. This is a retirement community is going to pay $39,000 for a pregnancy discrimination lawsuit, buddy. Here's what happened. According to the suit, Regency Park offered a woman a position as a caregiver. All right, you're really good. You've done a good interview. We're now going to offer you a position. While she's in the process of filling out the paperwork, the woman mentions that she's pregnant.
Right.
By the way, I'm pregnant. Shortly after, Regency Park rescinded the offer and informed her it decided to go with someone else for the caregiver position. Now, the crazy thing is, Brian, sometimes people will just let this go. They'll just chalk it up. I'm thankful she didn't, because clearly you said I'm ready. And now because I told you one piece of information, now I'm not. That's against the law. So again, $39,000 in damages, a 3-year consent decree, all that kind of stuff. And of course, you know what they say. I told you one piece of information, now I'm not. That. What happened there?
We got a little reverb.
Sorry, man. How is it now? We okay?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. All right. Hey, let's get to the next one, man. Let's talk about age discrimination, Brian. We're getting up there, buddy. We're getting up there. Well, I'll speak for myself, I guess. I'm getting up there.
I thought you were getting up there on this $60,000.
Well, let's say that this is a company out of Detroit they're an aerospace parts manufacturer. They're going to pay $60,000 and provide other relief. According to the lawsuit, United Precision Products violated federal law by refusing to hire a guy because of his age. He was 64 years old, and he applied through a staffing agency to be a machine operator. So he didn't go right to he went through a staffing agency to be the machine operator. During a pre-employment interview, United Precision's plant supervisor asked for his age, asked for his date of high school graduation, and asked for his driver's license. Now, there's certain things, driver's license you can get to make the photocopy once you're hired, all that stuff. But the fact that he's asking, hey, when did you go to high school? Hey, what's your age? Believe it or not, Brian, you can't do that.
No.
So later, the plant supervisor told the staffing agency that, we're not going to hire this guy. He doesn't have the desire for the job. So he files a suit that goes against the ADEA. He gets $60,000, and you know what they say. All right. Now let me tell you, buddy, do you have Cracker Barrels out there?
I have no.
You don't have one in Denver, maybe?
We have a Waffle House.
Win-win. And let me tell you, I'm a fan of Cracker Barrel, and so I don't judge an entire organization by one bad person in one restaurant that makes a mistake. But by the way, this number you see at the bottom now, 225,000, I'm combining a few here. So we're putting these all together. Cracker Barrel's paying $15,000 to settle disability discrimination. An applicant who is deaf applied online for a dishwasher. Okay. When he appeared for his scheduled interview, so they scheduled a time for him, he was turned away by the manager. Said, nah, you know what? We're not going to interview you. And then later he was formally rejected by the restaurant after repeated attempts to contact them. Despite this, he was able to achieve a successful employment history elsewhere in the restaurant industry, including as a dishwasher. And the EOC said that the man turned him away because he was deaf. Again, you can't not interview people. You can't not go through the process because of a disability. $15,000. In Orlando, Florida, our old hometown, PeerTech USA, but he's going to pay 85 grand.
Okay.
85 grand because of a perceived disability. A perceived disability. In late 2015, and by the way, that's how long these cases take to get from the EOC. It's like 6 years later. In late 2015, the employee was hospitalized for several weeks with pancreatitis, acute respiratory distress syndrome, and pneumonia. So he was going through a bad time.
Sure.
In March, a few months later, the employee's physician cleared him to return to work without restrictions. We get this all the time at Disney. Got to go back and see the nurse. You got to get cleared without restrictions. He can go back to work. Nevertheless, they fired him and said, you know what? You're a liability, and we're afraid you're going to get injured on the job now. They said
that.
They told him he was a liability now that you have done that, and we don't want you to get. So it's better for us if you don't. Well, now you're going to pay him 85 grand, make a written policy against discrimination, conduct anti-discrimination training, post notices at your work site, submit written reports twice a year. So it's not just the money, Bri. It's all the extra work you have to do as a manager now to prove that you are now getting yourself up to standard. So 85 grand there. But the piece de resistance
here it is.
Of disability discrimination. This is a commercial diver organization out of Houston. They're a Galveston Marine Services company, and they go out and do commercial diving around oil rigs and things like that to kind of get them all fixed. Well, he was diagnosed with cancer. One of these divers was diagnosed with cancer. He continued to work for TNT Subsea while he was getting chemo and while he was getting radiation. You talk about a committed guy to his job. I'm still working. I'm getting chemo. I'm getting radiation. I'm still working. Then I got to take some leave for some surgery. Okay. After his surgery, he comes back and says, I'm ready to return to full duty. And they said, what?
No, we're all done with you now.
Yeah, you're fired. Thanks for coming in. Now, get this. And this is the gray area that managers, again, you all need to know your rules, regulations, and policies, because there were two rules going on at the same time. One of them said correctly, the commercial diver guidelines disqualified him from employment because he had cancer in the last 5 years. So they said, sorry, you can't come back. You've had cancer the last 5 years. However, the policy and the guideline also reads, employers are required to make individual medical assessments of each individual person because they failed to talk to him, failed to engage with him, failed to have an interactive process with him because they just said, oh, cancer, no, you're gone. $125,000. So again, to all three of those organizations. That sort of brings me a little bit of joy. I don't know. It makes me happy. All right, buddy, I got two more. How's your sexual harassment? How's that going?
Are we still live?
I've only got two. In this, $310,000. That's where the earmuffs need to go on. If you're watching with your kids, I'll be as generic as possible. Mitsubishi, James Mitsubishi Hamburg, hashtag not a sponsor, out of Buffalo, New York. The general manager of this car dealership made numerous unwanted sexual advances and comments to two female employees, commented on their bodies, and asked them to join him in his hotel room. He also mimed acts in front of a female and engaged in inappropriate physical contact, including giving unwelcome massages, $110,000. But my favorite part is miming because, you know, I mean, how do you mime acts?
My hands, while you're doing the story, are glued to my desk.
I
totally want to demonstrate what could have been happening.
How we could possibly mime that. Here's another. Boy, Detroit's in the news tonight. Way to go, Detroit. For bad reasons. Speaking of sexual harassment and retaliation, there's a restaurant called Georgina's and Anthony's Little Georgina's going to pay $200,000 Again, the owner. These are the owners, Brian, the owners of these organizations, making lewd sexual comments to the sous chef. And when they complained, the owner stripped her of her authority and changed her schedule, and 10 minutes later fired her. So yeah, I'm going to make lewd comments to you, and then now you're going to go complain to somebody, and the person comes back after you're complaining and says, "I'm taking away all of your responsibilities. Now you can't be." And then 10 minutes later goes, "Never mind, you're just gone." And I'm sorry to laugh about it. I'm not laughing at the instances. I'm laughing at the sheer incompetence. Yes, the audacity of people to kind of do that. And Brian, you know what they say. Big finish, buddy.
You're an idiot.
Congratulations, you're an idiot. And we got one more big one here. Let's go pay discrimination. Now, here's the leadership lesson for all of us, because I work in local government, so we're pretty comfortable around not having pay discrimination. And it's pretty easy because the jobs are all classed at a certain area. You come in as you actually publish what the steps and the range and the class are. And, whereas in the private sector, you can do a little more massaging and bring people in at different things and all that. This is $400,000 in New Orleans from a Courtyard by Marriott. Hashtag not a sponsor. According to the lawsuit, this hotel and the operators of the hotel paid a male guest service representative $15.25 per hour.
Okay.
That's not bad. $15.25 per hour. He's going to report to his front desk supervisor, who makes $11 an hour. And other female guest service reps make 11. So the guy's making 15.25. The manager and the other females are making 11. So when they hear about this, they say, not a problem at all. Let's start paying the female supervisor $16 per hour. And just to keep it safe, we're going to lower your pay, sir, bring you back down. Well, now you got a double whammy because the guy didn't do anything wrong to get his pay brought down. So they literally were idiots on this. So they've got to provide back pay and other damages to the female front desk supervisor, the female guest service representative, and the male guest service representative, because they reduced his pay without any reason to do so. If you're paying him the EEOC says you need to pay the women what you pay him or more, right?
This is a small mom and pop hotel.
This is Courtyard by Marriott. So again, as you're out there, be super careful as leaders, as managers, or one day you might be on this particular show. Listen to us say the following. Yeah, you know what that music means.
What does that
mean? Let's get out of the idiot doldrums and let's listen to two idiots try and guess leadership statistics. It's everybody's favorite leadership statistics game show. Give me a bell for over and under, buddy.
This is what you're playing for right here.
Listen, Brian and I have been rambling all night. Your comments have not even come in because you're like, all they're doing is talking. Put in the comments right now. I want to play over and under. I want to win the free t-shirt. I'm fired up to show everybody how much I know about over under. Let's go, buddy.
All right, let's do this. So like Pete said, we'd love for you to play along. Go ahead and chat in your comments, your answers as we try to guess over and under. So, we want you to play along. There's Mandy. All right.
Terry's finally saying, yeah, let's go. I don't know if Mandy means let's go or if she means let's go. What have I been sitting through?
Oh, goodness. All right. So tonight we're going to wrap up our journey that we've been doing through the Northridge Group's State of Customer Service Experience Report. And just as a reminder, this was for 2020, which means it factors in all kinds of data related to the COVID COVID-19 pandemic and experience. And so without further ado, let's get right into the numbers. You ready?
I got to get my pen, but go ahead. Yes. And by the way, remind the audience, Brian, you and I have not talked about this ahead of time.
We have not. I suppose we've been doing this report. You could have downloaded it at some point. But no, Pete doesn't know what I'm going to ask, and
Right.
neither do any of you. So
Yeah.
you're playing for the bell. Here we go.
Barry's ready to go.
Okay, y'all. What percent of customers said they make a conscious effort to tell others whenever they have a bad customer service experience? Is it?
I got a number in my head. Go ahead.
All right. My line is 81%. What was your line?
60.
Interesting.
So you're saying, is it over or under? Is the amount of people who tell somebody about a negative customer experience over or under 81%?
Correct. What do y'all think?
You know, I know we teach this stuff, we train this stuff, we talk about customer service, and we use all the analogies. You know, what was that old commercial? What was the commercial? And put that in the comments if you can think of it. Remember, they told two friends and they told two friends. What was that for?
The shampoo commercial.
It was a shampoo commercial, but I can't think. You know what? I mean, I think 81 is really high. I mean, that's why I thought 60. Is it possible that 3 out of 4? But then again, I know people who, as soon as they have a bad experience, start telling everybody on Facebook. And again, social media has allowed us, Brian, to be a lot more, you know, put stuff out there. Sherry, you're sweet, honey. Sherry's starting under. Look at that under. Jonathan is going under. Barry's going. Hey, our buddy Greg Busby, all in there. Good. Dr. Matthews, thanks for joining us today, is going under. Nobody trusts you. However, big ups to Scott Payne, by the way, and your lovely family for watching tonight. And thanks to you and your buddies. We toast you. Scott's going over, as is my friend Terry, which is your wife, who may know something we don't know. And Scott's also. Let me tell you what I'm going to do. My gut reaction was 60, but I've totally talked myself out of it. I'm going over. I'm taking the over. I've talked myself out of it.
Over. Interesting. Yep. You're going against the
majority,
the collective majority wisdom, and you get the bell for over. We give the bell to Scott and Terry and Pete. It is 86%.
What is wrong with us as a country, as a society? What is wrong with us? Why do we have to? What did you learn? What else is in there about that?
Nearly 9 out of 10 customers said that they will actually make a conscious effort to tell others when they have a bad customer service experience. Especially, and you know, this is dealing with customer service, not, you know, I walked into Best Buy and tripped on the carpet, but what happened after that? You know, what did they do? So 86%, if you think just one negative customer service experience can cause a ripple effect.
Yeah.
Bad publicity, as they tell two friends and they tell two friends.
Right.
So every customer interaction matters.
Yeah. Yeah. Michael can't believe it's that high. It's that high either. So again, our leadership lesson is always, the Disney model of service recovery. How can you just solve the problem? Or how can you at least empathize? Or how can you fix it with service? Or how can you do some of these things because again, once people get out there, and start putting it on Facebook and places like that, it's awful. Barry, look at our buddy Barry. And I'm sorry, buddy. Yeah, if t-shirts are out right away. Do we have t-shirts?
No, there's no t-shirts.
Okay.
Confidently assuming that there are no t-shirts.
There are no t-shirts. All right, good.
Let's get bigger. Tell your friends about this podcast, and maybe we will have t-shirts in the future.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
All right. Let's go on to the second one, which relates to the first one. So I will go ahead and tell you that 96% of business leaders said they do believe that customers tell other customers about their poor customer experiences.
Okay.
Which honestly makes me wonder about the 4% who don't think that people tell other people. But Having said that, here's the question. What percentage of business leaders think that social media is the channel that customers are most likely to use to tell others about a negative customer experience? Over or under 60%?
All right. So let me walk through this
Yep.
with the smart audience who's smarter than me. So if I'm going to complain about something, if my choice is social media and you say it's over or under 60, my other choices of complaining would be what? Like word of mouth, talking to people.
It's not complaining to the organization. It's about telling other customers that you had a poor, negative, or a negative customer service experience. So,
Okay.
I go to McDonald's and they get my order wrong, and I tell them about it, and they're like, "So," and they spit in my food or whatever. That didn't happen.
Hashtag not a sponsor. Hashtag did not happen.
Just an example. That didn't happen. But if it did, how am I going to tell others about that poor customer service experience? Am I going to,
talk to them or call somebody? Am I going to talk about it at work, or am I going to use social media to vent my complaints? And you're saying, is it over or under 60? You said 60?
Right. So if this is from the leader's perspective, what percentage of business leaders think that social media is the channel that customers are most likely to use to tell others about a negative experience?
Everybody's going over. Al's going over, except Terry, who was right last time. She says go under. Scott's taking the under. My buddy Jake, good to have you on tonight, is taking the over. And there's so much pressure when you get the first one right, because I feel like I've got it. Hey, Jonathan, what's up? But he's taking the under. Go, Brian. You were going to say something.
I was going to say, just in case you were confused, this is what percentage of leaders think that social media is the channel that customers will use, not will customers use social media.
Okay. I'm still going to take the over because I think that these leaders are dumb and they're like, oh, I'm sure they're going to put it on social media and not think about other options. That's probably all they think about. So I'm taking the over. Brian, give me a bell.
I'm not going to give you a bell. I am going to give the bell to my smoking hot wife, Terry, who I swear is upstairs and not in the room.
Smoking Hot Peep says, hey to your smoking hot wife. Wow, under, huh?
It's way under. Only 29%. Only 29% of business leaders thought that their customers would share a negative customer service experience on social media. Again, this is 2020 data.
Yeah.
So this blows my mind that it's that low. As a marketing and communications guy, it blows my mind that it's that low, that they don't think that customers are going to be out ripping them a new one on social media.
And that's where everybody goes. And we just heard the majority of people how the managers think that people aren't out there, and the business leaders are thinking people aren't going to post it on places. I mean, a lot of these people who are watching tonight know about these pages that are out there. There's pages for school parents, and there's pages for college parents, and there's pages for this and pages for people posting there all the time about these bad things that happen. So how can leaders think that they're not doing that?
I felt like maybe they transposed the numbers. It was really 92, but no, 29%. And I'm here to tell you that, social media is the channel of choice for sharing negative customer service.
Yeah. Okay.
Organizations need to be monitoring those platforms and responding to issues quickly. It's important that you don't let it sit out there and marinate.
Yep, you're right. All right.
Yeah.
Well, do we even keep playing since I'm 1 for 1 or 1 for 2, or do we just wrap up the show, or do we keep? What do we normally do?
I guess we could just wrap up the show and just eat tortilla chips and.
Goodbye, everybody. All right, someone's got to be too. Oh, look what my wife did. Oh, it's extremely clever. Okay.
All right. Last one. In 2019, I'm going to give you this stat. In 2019, 67% of businesses said, so like 2/3, said they regularly and actively measure customer satisfaction.
I'm listening.
You with me? That's
Yeah.
2009. 67% of businesses said they regularly and actively measure customer satisfaction. How many businesses said they regularly and actively measure customer satisfaction in 2020? Is it over or under that number? Over or under 67%?
Okay. It I hate when you do this. It has to be over. It has to be over. There is no way businesses in 2020 are measuring customer experience and customer loyalty and customer service less than they did in 2009. So we're not, it's got to be over. See, now everybody is just going with you where, see, this is where Brian's mind starts playing tricks on you. Everybody knows the answer is over, but look what they're doing. They're all choosing the under because they're like,
They're
we're the,
game.
I
love it.
Barry even says with COVID, more than 29% of people only communicate on social media. So to your point earlier, if that's the only place we communicate, yeah. Mandy says under because the idiots don't know how to go on social. Yeah, we've got the idiot theme going tonight. Greg, you're a brilliant man. Thank you for getting the correct answer with me, as opposed to your peers, Scott, who's going under, Jonathan is going under, and there's Al. Again, we always say this: saying it and doing it are two different things. And my wife says no one measures anything in 2020 except COVID cases. So that's why she's taken over. So I know, Michael. All right, let's go.
Put Sherry's comment back up there. Because under gets the bell. And this, it's an 8% drop. It's actually 59% this year. So in 1 year, it went down from 67% of businesses measuring customer satisfaction to only 59% of businesses. That's 8% across the board of a drop. And I'm not sure what to make of that, except I kind of agree with what Sherry was saying. Like, other than, during COVID, they're dropping some of those non-essential, what they consider to be non-essential programs, like measuring customer satisfaction.
Yeah. And, it's like, Brian, everybody's getting a pass right now and giving grace, at least trying to. I try to give a lot of grace and a lot of forgiveness and a lot of leeway when I'm doing pick up food to bring it home. If I go to my local Belk, hashtag not a sponsor, which is now only open, I think, noon to 6, and the shelves haven't been stocked and things haven't been done. So I'm giving a little bit of grace, but we can't just throw the baby out with the bathwater and say we're not going to measure anything this year because this year's kind of a wash. You're going to lose.
Right. Yeah. And like we've always said, what gets measured gets managed. Right. And so, what you're talking about is, are they really not concerned with the customer service experience?
No. And apparently we have to have Sherry on it as a guest one night because she has a lot of passion around this. But she's right. Businesses are closing. The patterns were different. Nothing was normal. What's there to measure? Because I can't compare. It'll be apples and oranges if I compare it to last year. So let's not even do it. Michael says maybe they don't really want to know what the data is.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't. I know. Listen, I know we're struggling. We're losing revenue. We're losing money. We're losing customers. We're losing this. Why do I want to measure if it's a good customer experience or not? Wow. Interesting. And to Sherry's point, what's going to happen next year? Because if you do measure this year and we get back on track next year, are we going to be able to validate that and say, look, we went up and look, we went down and look at all this,
I'm sure. Statistics that are kept over time, like if they were measuring stuff back during the 1917, flu epidemic or pandemic, you might see a certain spike there or whatever. Yep. It's an asterisk.
Well, I'm a huge Major League Baseball fan, and will they look at who got the batting title this year? They only played 60 games instead of 162 games. Okay. So again, do you count the data? Do you count it? I don't know. Hey, those were good. Are we doing customer service again next? By the way, if you got 3 for 3, give yourself a shout out in the comments, please. Did anybody? Did anybody? Or did we all get stumped? We should call this "Get Stumped by Brian" instead of over under.
I love customer service data and I love the focus on customer service that we all need to be, acting on. But this particular report is done.
We're done. We'll find something different Next week. All right. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you all for playing along. We got one final segment here. Let me go ahead and pull this down. Is that right? Is it there? I got so many buttons here, buddy. Where is it? Here it is. We look so young there at the Daily Disney. We look so young. By the way, before I get into my story today, real quick news out of California. Apparently, California Adventure was announced today. Disney's California Adventure is finally going to open up for a hard-ticketed event. No attractions. That's going to be a food and beverage. You can go in the shops. You'll see a couple characters here and there. And that's something that they can do based on what the guidelines are, but they can't open up the whole theme park with all the attractions. So things are starting to come back. Brian, I'm making a Disney trip in about 3 weeks. Fact-finding mission. So I'll be heading down there, buddy, and bring you back some stuff. Brian, do you remember the old saying by Walt Disney himself about pigs?
Well, you can't top with pigs, Pete.
You can't top pigs with pigs. Jill says those are fun. Oh, Scott got 3 for 3. Way to go, Scott. Hey, nice job. As opposed to Michael, who was 0 for 3. But that's okay, man. Everybody else is. So, and his whole point was he made a cartoon called The Three Little Pigs, very popular, all that. And everybody said, well, make him do something else. And he said, you can't top pigs with pigs. Wow. So last week, and we were going to talk about this last week, but it came out quick and then it died down. There's a new movie coming out. So gather your friends and family around, get the kids around the old leadership and laughs as we're going to take 90 seconds. And if you haven't seen it, here's the preview for the upcoming Disney release coming in May called Cruella.
From the very beginning, I realized I saw the world differently than everyone else. That didn't sit well with some people. But I wasn't for everyone. I guess they were always scared that I'd be a psycho. Sorry now. But a new day brings new opportunities. Sorry now. And I was ready to make a statement. How does the saying go? I am woman, hear me roar. I'm just getting started, darling. The thing is, I was born brilliant, born bad, and a little bit mad. I'm Cruella.
Okay, so here's the leadership question for everybody around this. And again, I'm not pro or for this. It just ties into the Disney company is awesome at squeezing blood out of turnips.
Yes.
There's another phrase called jumping the shark. That's from the old Happy Days, where you've done too much. So we're going to talk about this in terms of Disney movies, but I want you to think about your own organization when we talk about squeezing blood out of a turnip. There's an animated film called 101 Dalmatians. Been around for years. Very good. Didn't we then make a live action one with
Glenn Close?
Glenn Close. Okay, now we're just taking the person out, making a movie about that. I think we did it with Maleficent. We took the Sleeping Beauty. So again, Disney's really good at storytelling and characters and all that. For your organization, let me ask you this, Brian. Are they squeezing blood? Are we squeezing blood out of this and saying we can't think of new and creative ideas, or is it a smart thing to do because we're looking at all of our assets and feeling out how we can use every single asset that we have to help the organization, whether it's your organization or the Disney organization. What's your take on that?
And I'm an admitted flip-flopper on this. When I worked for the Disney organization, I was definitely in that early Walt camp. Like, why are we doing Lion King 1.5? Come on,
Right.
there's this is obviously a cash grab, but when I see that, I remember when the Planes movies came out, I was against that. I'm like, come on, this isn't good. I think it turns on if there's a good story to tell.
Yes.
If there's still
bingo
a story to tell, then I'm for it. And when I saw the trailer, I'll say that my whole family is on board with this. It can't end well, right? Because this is Cruella story up until she becomes Cruella.
Right.
But yeah,
storytelling is the key. I mean, you hit that on the head. So as far as are we squeezing blood, is when's enough? If I've got a good story to tell, if I even look at the parents of the Dalmatians, I want to tell because how much time do you get in a 75-minute animated film to build out these characters? So I'm not against it. Let's tie it back. Ooh, Jonathan brings up a good point. And Jonathan, thank you for joining us, buddy. Met him at the training conference last week. Again, it's an origin story, how they did Maleficent. And that's why Star Wars is branching out and doing all the pre-movies and the post-movies and the solo and all that. So what about your organization, though? When is it a menu product that people are putting out? People go, that's really too much. Or if you are an oil change facility and you now go, we do oil change and let's do tires and let's do this and let's do that. Is that part of your core or is that too much? And are you trying to get more out of your employees than they have? So to me, I think the leadership lesson in this is this might be successful. It might be great. It might backfire. We don't know because of the movie theaters and all of that. But I think, Brian, that's where I was going to go. If it ties to the core of your business and storytelling is part of the business, I think it could work. I really do.
I do too.
Put in the comments, everybody. Do you think this will Cruella? Will you go see it? Yes or no? Is it something just looking at that? Does it look like something that you're interested in? Because again, when just the Disney name being on something is going to drive people to it. And it's going to be interesting to see how they play it out. I'm trying to think back, Brian, to my own organization and where we work, how much is too much? How much are people saying now you're trying to top pigs with pigs? Now you're trying to do this and, kind of a stay in your lane type of thing. So,
you ever go to one of those restaurants where the menu is like a phone book? It's a giant menu. You're like, how can you do all of these things and do them well?
Yes. Cheesecake Factory.
Well, okay.
But they're all not a sponsor.
but yeah, I mean, like if you go to a place and they're serving, burger sliders and also duck à l'orange, like how is that? How are they doing that? It's too wide and diversified in that sense. But when Disney bought Star Wars, and there was a lot of Star Wars fans in that community who were kind of clutching their pearls over, like, oh boy, what's Disney's gonna ruin Star Wars, and that's a topic for a whole other show. But,
right.
But when they started putting out these shows like The Mandalorian on Disney Plus. And what we found is, maybe that's to sell merch, but it's a good story.
It's a very, very good story.
So as long as they're doing it right.
As long as what?
As long as they're doing it right.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Hey, real quick, our Smoking Hot Wives, thank them for watching tonight. Terry says people like a la carte. Too many packages, streaming's more successful. And Sherry just likes Emma Stone.
He's not wrong.
You're not wrong. Emma Stone's great. And Michael says not fresh food.
Yeah, it's when you have that, giant menu.
Putting it all in there. I agree with you, man. So, hey, it's been a great show tonight. We did some feel-good stories. We talked about idiots. You all played over-under, and we talked if we're going to go see Cruella and squeezing blood out of turnips. How is this a leadership show, Brian? I have no idea.
We just really want to say that we appreciate all of you guys for joining us live or listening on the podcast later.
Yep.
So let's get out there and get after it. Let's all do our part this week to be kind to one another and put some more love in the world.
Put some love in the world, everybody. Thanks, Brian. See you next week, buddy.
See you
Thanks,
next
everybody.
week. Love you guys.